You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast, following a 4-2 loss on home ice to the New York Islanders. I'm Ross Levitan alongside @Laleem's Martian, breaking this one down. Pilsy's off, but Martian, I'm going to throw you the hardest question I've got. What the hell happened tonight?
Ross, and that's the number one thing that I'm going to go to is just the power play not being very good at all tonight. 1 for 6 is not going to cut it with this group when you have the all-star power that we do. And you're going to get probably the most dejected version of the Leams Martian that you're going to see here tonight, because I am not impressed at all with the record in the last 10 games here for this team. It's getting sad. It's getting really hard to watch. And I mean, let's face it here. They need a win more than anything in the world, and they're just not able to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, how about backing up one win with another? Because the chips will fall in your direction
That'd be great.
once in a while. There's 82 game season, but it's about stringing them together. And right now, the only thing they can string together is loss after loss after loss. Now, 1-8-1 in its last 10 games is Ottawa. Now, in tonight's game, the scoring started midway through the first period. I'm a mush. My lookout player from this morning's Locked On Senators, Oliver Wahlstrom, just rips one on the power play. And how ironic that it was a power play goal. And let me get to it. But 1-0 for the Islanders after the first period. Lee and Barzal get the assists. Then Batherson ties it up. Let's get into this situation where it's a questionable call on Ross Johnson. I think we could be fair and admit that. It's just kind of a pushing and shoving by both guys in front of the bench. And Sure, one's an enforcer who's been around the league. The other guy's 20 years old. But I don't know if I'd give him that. However, that high stick on Brady Tkachuk, that may as well have been 5 in a game. The ferocity of with that stick came up. He gets a 4 minutes. So Ottawa's on a 5-on-3 for 40 seconds and then a 4-minute power play. They convert on one, but the fact that they can't get another is absolutely wild. How did you think that situation played out?
Well, and the one that they scored was on a 5-on-3, so like it wasn't even a regular power play. But as far as the officiating goes and the penalties that they were getting, I think that the Pinto one was almost a bit of a makeup call. I think for the Austin Watson call, which I think was a really soft call. Pinto got crushed in the corner in the first period, and that could have easily been a penalty and wasn't. So there's a lot of questionable, officiating happening in the game all night, I felt like. But you got to score when you get your chances, Ross. That's the only thing. I don't even care how the power play happens. You got your 5 questionably, arguably your biggest weapons on the ice for 2 minutes, almost 2 minutes, 1.5 minutes at certain points, right? And they're just not getting the job done. They're really not even getting a whole ton of quality looks. I don't really know what to say, buddy. I honestly don't know where to go with it, because it's just it's demoralizing as a fan, and it's got to be demoralizing for them as a team. This is again a game where they lost in it. Other than empty netters, they lost by 1. So all their losses this year have been that's the case. They either lose by 1 or they lose by 2 with an empty netter. So I mean, they're keeping it close, but they're just not able to finish.
Yeah, it's a cruel statistic at being friendly about it. Tim Stützle and Claude Giroux get the assists on Batherson's goal. Giroux extending his point streak to 9 games. Certainly, he has been anything but the issue for this team. Yeah. However, the tie game didn't last long, because you mentioned it. So Batherson scores on the 5-on-3. Then right after the 4-minute penalty expires, just a cheeky little bounce. Noah Dobson off of Holden, then off of Hamonic into the back of the net. It's 2-1 for the Islanders going into the third period, where the Senators were 0-5-1 coming into tonight after 40 minutes. And if you go back to last year as well, they are 3 wins.
33 losses or something?
Well, we got to add up the 5 for this one. 38 losses, 3-38-1 when trailing after 2 periods. This team just cannot overcome it. It's wild. It's wild. And you know what else is wild? Jean-Gabriel Pageau scoring in the third period.
That was a lock.
His 3rd goal in 3 trips to Ottawa. Have a homecoming, kid. He makes it 3-1. At that point, I'm pretty demoralized. Then, as they've done plenty of times this year, they give us hope. Claude Giroux, a beautiful play from Brady Tkachuk, backhand feed right onto his tape, crashing the net. and he made no mistake. Giroux's 8th of the season. Assists to Tkachuk and Timmy. So 2 assists for Timmy tonight. But then Brock Nelson puts it away with the empty net. I actually like the way they were working the puck around with 6-on-5, but then
Ross, they didn't give me any hope. You said they gave us hope. In this one,
right.
I mean, I learned my lesson at this point with this team. We've got their identity figured out. They've been doing this all year. They give us that little glimmer of like, oh, are they going to come back? And previously in the games, I've said, yeah, that's going to give us hope, but not tonight. I knew they weren't going to be able to do it. That's just who they are right now as a group. And to me, it all points right to the behind the bench. And I'm sorry, I don't usually go here, and I hate calling for a guy's job, but this team needs a shakeup so bad that even if it's you don't think it's DJ Smith's coaching that is causing them to lose, they need something to light a fire under their butts and get them going. And teaching them how to play a more defensive game, I think, is going to go a long way. I don't think that the fun uncle thing is going to work anymore with this group. They're having a good time, obviously, in the locker room amongst each other. That's all well and good, but it's going to dry up pretty quick early in the year when you have a handful of wins in the first 20 games, which is what we're looking at here, basically.
The Ottawa Senators power play goes 1 for 6. Dude, they gave up half as many power plays and they lost the special teams battle. My key to victory tonight was win the special teams battle. They gave up 2 power play goals. They scored 1. They had 6 opportunities. It's just unbelievable the way this team is shooting themselves in the foot and the way that Pierre Dorion is just kind of sitting on his hands. And I don't know how much I blame him because other GMs can smell blood in the water. They're like, hey, all right, you want to make a deal? Give us your futures, basically. And at this point, like, you're not giving away that 2023 first round pick. There's no chance.
That's what people are calling for because at this point, it's looking like it's going to be a lotto pick. So, I appreciate Dorion's patience with all of this. And I think that, making a move reactionary to, the defense being a little banged up is a big mistake, especially when there's blood in the water, right? I think it's Jeff Merrick who has that classic line, and I think he said it on the 32 Thoughts podcast recently, where GMs in the league, they look at a team like Ottawa, the situation they're in right now, and they're looking for help, right? They're in the water, and other GMs in the league do not throw life preservers for the other struggling GMs. They throw anvils, and luckily up until now, they've avoided those anvils, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dorion bites on something here soon because, something's got to give. To me, I think the easy move for him to make would be a coaching change. And we don't know the implications with like any of the ownership stuff and things like that and how that would play into things. I know that maybe that's not the right time to make a coaching change, but on the ice, you got to make a change. Something needs to change.
Yeah, let us know in the comments as well what you think needs to be done with this Ottawa Senators team because 1 win in their last 10 games. Like, let's call a spade a spade. This is not working. And I think case in point was Travis Hamonic getting the A left vacant from Thomas Chabot. And I saw people being like, is that really where we're at? And then you look around, like, they're going to give it to a defenseman, of course. So you have one guy, but like, it's him or Nick Holden. And I know, like,
but why? The thing is, why? Like, do you need to have it on a defenseman? No, not you don't really. There's no like real good reason for that. You still have forwards on the ice all the time. Like, give it to a guy like DeBrincat, and maybe that'll make him do something out there too, right? Like, he's got a lot of experience in the league, and I think he's a good like fit for the core and the 8. I just, to me, like, culturally, giving it to Hammock doesn't make sense, and giving it to Holden at this point doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me either. I would love, like, if a guy like Josh Norris was in the lineup, I have no question in my mind that it probably would have gone to him, unless what you're saying about them putting it on the back end is a thing.
I think it is. I think every team has one defenseman that wears it. I could be wrong. I can't think of a team. Oh, maybe Boston, now I think about it. Anyways, we'd have to crunch the numbers.
Yeah, maybe there's probably 1 or 2 teams who don't have it on the back end as well, right? Like, just give it to the guys who fit the culture and the leadership group, right?
The point is, though, that their back end was such a joke tonight. Like, just in terms of the characters that are on there. And like, JVD did what he could. I actually thought he was probably one of the better players, and he was in a bit of an elevated role out there with the 6-on-5. And at what point, like, I've actually liked overall, and Brannstrom didn't love his penalty tonight, but I actually have like not minded his game. But at what point does an offensive defenseman have to put up points? This guy's got 2 points in 15 games, and they're both assists. If you go back to last year, he had 8 assists in the last 39 games of last year. Like, he's an
Yeah,
offensive defenseman that doesn't contribute offensively.
he doesn't produce. I don't know. I don't understand how he still holds that tag. Like, oh, I guess you could kind of call him an offensive defenseman because he's like a breakout guy, and like that's kind of, and he's a
That's
skater,
what he is. He's a breakout guy.
and
He's
that's
very good at skating the puck from his own goal line to neutral ice and then chipping it in like DJ wants him to.
yeah. It's almost like I wouldn't even call it an offensive defenseman, right? You would call, well, obviously you wouldn't because he doesn't produce any points. But if
He's never scored a
if what he
goal.
does is skate the puck out of the zone, then he's like a good skating defenseman in the new age, right? He doesn't defend the way you imagine a guy playing defense in the NHL, but I guess he gets the job done. But I mean, you can't call him a defensive defenseman either because he is sometimes a bit of a liability out there in his own end as well. So I don't know what he is. He's so like enigmatic to me. Like I want to love him, and he does a lot of great stuff out there, but the great stuff he doesn't really result in anything great.
Yeah, it just seems like it looks good, and then all of a sudden it's nothing. It's all
Somebody
flat.
Nick Spence says he's Carl Rakunik. That's actually kind of funny. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty young when Rakunik was on the Sens, but I do remember him quite well. But like, yeah, Carl Rakunik had a booming shot though, so I think that's, and a bit of size. That's probably what Brannstrom's lacking.
Rest in peace. I want to say he was on that Yaroslav.
He was, yeah. Well, just a quick side story. I saw him fight Mario Lemieux behind the net. I was like 5 rows up. That was like a crazy moment. I got to see Lemieux getting a scrap, and it was with Carl Rakunik. But anyways,
Danny just stole my stat here. Erik Brannstrom, 2 goals in 131 games now, Danny, because he didn't score tonight either. And one of those goals, if you remember against Calgary,
was from center ice.
From center ice. And I want to say he scored both goals in that game. If not, it was like the game before, the game after.
It might have been the game after. I think it was the game before the one where he scored from center ice, because he scored the game before and then he scored again like very shortly after. Probably, I think it was in Calgary or something like that.
And people are saying like he's a puck moving D-man, but like if you move the pucks to the right positions, won't you pick up assists just by proxy? Like by being in the right place at the right
like
time?
He's a puck moving D-man who's not a facilitator offensively. Like that's so weird.
It's just
strange. You hit a guy on the rush, you'd think they'd go up and score at some point.
Yeah, it's strange. And another good point, Will says like he's got a bit of a muffin for a shot on the point. And like that's what's missing on their power play. When Norris is out, I know that's a big gap, but then you have DeBrincat on the other side. Giroux's creating, doing all he's doing. Timmy looks good on the power play. Batherson obviously scores on a great shot, but they are missing that shooting threat from the top of the umbrella. They just don't have it. And it's like they don't have a shot. They don't have it with Brannstrom. Sanderson.
Who's got the biggest shot on the back end? Hamonic.
Yeah, and he can't hit the
you
side.
Can't put him there.
Dude, you see his clapper tonight where it was like a 3-on-1 rush and he hit like the boards in the corner. It was like that joke meme that Cece shot where he was like that far out. It was wild to see. At least Cece was on like his one-timer side. Hamonic shot across his body and across the net like that.
Oh, yeah.
It was unbelievable. So something has to give here, whether it's with acquiring a guy who can shoot the puck or at least like contribute, because right now like a few of these 1-goal losses have been facades. Like the Vegas game was not really a 1-goal game. It was a score effect down 5-1. They score a few. Yeah. There's a few where I can say they've deserved better. That Tampa game was not a 1-goal game by the way they played. The Florida game, like it's wild. And Buck makes a good point. We're going to get to it in just a second, but right now teams are trying to rob Pierre Dorion. You don't want to get robbed, though. That's why at home you need SimpliSafe. SimpliSafe is the one-stop shop. It's actually America's #1 rated home security system. You can get it for 50% off right now. It's their biggest offer of the year. You don't want to miss it. SimpliSafe was named the best home security system of 2022. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology. This is exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real. So don't miss your chance. I recommend it. Get 50% off new SimpliSafe system, simplisafe.com/URL today. This is their biggest discount of the year. Don't wait. That's simplisafe.com/locked Locked On NHL. SimpliSafe.com/LockedOnNHL. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. All right, getting a good laugh right here, Nick Spence. Is Shea Weber healthy enough to make an impact? You know what? We're calling up Jacob Larson tonight, who was a -10 in 12 AHL games. We
Yeah,
are
he didn't look very good either tonight, did he, Ross?
bottom of the barrel when it comes to acquiring NHL talent on the back end. And I want to get to a lot of these comments as well. Like Austin Watson, I bet you. So here's kind of how we can thread this together. If DJ Smith is fired, Austin Watson no longer has a job on this team. Guarantee it.
I believe you would probably be correct about that because what he's doing out there is not a good thing. I mean, he's almost a momentum killer when he goes out and decides to drop the gloves with a guy who, says, "Hey, Austin, do you want to go?" And then he does it, and he's won one fight in his time as a Sen. That's what I'll say. I've seen him win one, and I'll give him that. The rest of them, I don't know how many there've been. Probably close to 20, if not more. He either falls over or gets punched in the face too many times. That's how it goes, right? Like he's not good at fighting. He does block the occasional shot, I'll say that, and that does.
Tonight he blocked the shot, and the rebound went in the back of the net.
I know, that's what I was gonna say. He does occasionally block the shot, and it can lead to momentum that way. But I mean, for anyone can block a shot.
Yeah, you just have to. You have to have the wherewithal, and like that fourth line is not giving us any momentum. Remember the game we went to against Boston? Like they were creating, they were making things interesting in the offensive zone, forechecking. Cassidy had a goal. Like there's something wrong right now with a lot of the lines. But to single out the fourth line, the one that plays the least, is a little redundant. But they're not contributing anything right now. I haven't even noticed Parker Kelly, the shift disturber. We haven't seen him disturb anybody in the last.
Yeah, at least early in the season, they were banging a ton of bodies, right? And they were actually doing something out there for us. But I mean, last at least 10, 15 games, they've been very quiet. Even Kastelik, right? Like he's kind of not looking great either right now. I mean, they got some dogs down in Belleville right now who I would love to see mixed in the lineup, right? Like Crookshank and Ridley Gregg. Like those are two guys right there who will bring a little pop, in their first few NHL games, right? So
to me, it's they're chasing the play every shift. Like at no part of the game are they creating the tempo that's going to do the next best thing. It's just like they are just chasing it, and it is tough to watch. But again, they're so close, but so far they outshoot the Islanders 38-35, but with the caveat that 11 of their 38 shots came on the power play. 11 of their 38 shots. Martian, you want me to compare that?
Yeah, do it.
The Islanders scored twice on 4 shots on their power plays.
Holy moly. What a percentage.
Yeah, so they've got a 50% shooting on their power play, and Ottawa, not a math guy, but that's under 10% on theirs. Something needs to change. That's where I'm at. Like, enough's enough. The next 10 games were the most important. Those were Pierre Dorian's words. They're what now? We got to get the official count.
1-3-1 since he said that, or 1-2-1, I guess.
It was before the Vancouver game, right?
Right.
Because they got home and then the questions started coming. He was at home. It was when they diagnosed Josh Norris not needing surgery.
Yeah, that was it.
Ooh-wee. Yeah.
Do we have any standouts tonight, Ross?
I got one, and Claude Giroux deserves better than what he's been getting from his teammates this time around. Like that whole line, and Timmy again, still a bit of a work in progress, but that top line, and I'll leave obviously a standout for you. I'll just take Claude Giroux, 9-game point streak, and he just has, and obviously I'm trying to think of a way to say this where I'm not directly saying he's Daniel Alfredsson, but he has that je ne sais quoi when he's on the ice, where he can slow the pace down, but you're not worried that he's going to lose the puck because of it. Like you're not worried that somebody's going to get on. He just controls tempo so well. And he's got finish, he's got flash, he's got substance. He's the real deal that we're getting right now with Claude Giroux. And on this 9-game streak, he had a goal and assist tonight. So he's up to, where are we at now? He's up to 13 points on this 9-game streak. Super impressive for Claude.
Yeah, 100%. You're bang on with that, Ross. He's been really good, and you said it earlier, but like with this team struggling, he's the last reason that they're struggling. He's been Mr. Consistent all year long, steady Eddie doing his thing out there. He is as advertised. So very happy to have him part of the team. But holy crap, he's got 3 more years to go here. He might want a few more wins, right? I think signing here, he expected more, so it'd be nice for them to be able to turn it around, especially for him. My standout, Ross, is I'm going back to the old well here. That's my boy, favorite player, Brady Tkachuk. And, he had 2 assists tonight. He was a mule out there, heavy minutes, 21, 46. He was in the dot, 6 shots on goal. He's banging bodies, doing his thing. I think he got credit for 1 hit. Probably not that. He probably had a few more bumps around out there, I think, than just the one. He always leaves his mark on a game. And I love seeing his frustration on the bench when things aren't going his way, because it usually leads to him doing something the very next shift. And in this case, it did again, right? Where Timmy and him, he was open on the 2-on-1 there. Timmy kind of cut back into traffic, made a bit of mistake, I think there, and then Kachuk, was slamming doors on the bench, and then 2 shifts later he goes out and scores a goal, or sets up Giroux. Sorry, so. Love to see him, using his emotions to his advantage. That's what he does. I would love to see, the team kind of respond to the game the way he does.
We'll get into this more on the Locked On Senators podcast, where we've got your team every day. We're going to do a quick after dark because we want to get to the Daniel Alfredsson ceremony. We've got on tape delay, of course, but great night, special night, but we see some frustration in the chat. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and answer a couple of those questions. You are listening to the Locked On Senators Postcast, your team every day. All right, you're listening to the Postcast After Dark. I'm Ross Levitan alongside at Laleem's Martian. All right, let's get right to the chat. Martian, you take a peek at what interests you, and I'm going to pull up.
Yeah, I saw one actually earlier there. I'm not sorry. I don't know who it was from there. I can't see quick. My bad. But they mentioned that they thought that Matthew Joseph should be getting a little bit of power play time. They said they would want to see him on the power play. I don't know if you can see that, Ross. I'm not sure who said it. My bad, guys. But what I would say to that is I don't like that idea, because you'd be rewarding a player who's been playing poorly with power play time. To me, he hasn't been able to generate any offense on his own, and giving him power play time doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But at the same time, if you keep trotting out Derek Brassard, who looks very old and slow lately, I would say he is a better alternative to that, I would say.
Yeah, no doubt. Although, yeah, I'm almost over that experiment too.
I've been over that experiment. He is a ghost of his former self. He skates around and he looks the same when he's skating around, but his hands aren't caught up to his feet and his feet aren't caught up to his mind, and he's just a mess.
Yeah, Graham making good point. I think Joseph did get a little bit of power play time tonight, 1 minute and 1 second, but you compare that to the others, like Alex DeBrincat, who played 10 minutes and 17 seconds on the power play tonight. It certainly doesn't add up, but he did get out there a little bit. Not much time at even strength for Matthew Joseph, but certainly did all right. Hate that penalty, though. Just a careless stick for his penalty at a not good time in the game, to say the least.
Yeah, that was not ideal, and that's kind of I think I ended up giving him a downgrade in the old Sens stocks today, and that was mainly the reason. Because it's actually funny, because it was almost like karma a little bit, right? Because he took that really hard high stick in the face off that face off, the one where the refs went back. That was another thing. Have you ever seen the refs do that before, where they, there was a quick whistle after a high stick, and then they went back and reviewed it, and then they made the call. They did the right thing. It was shocking. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, and I can totally get from the Islander standpoint, hey, how much time are you going to decide whether it's a call?
Yeah, I mean, that is, I guess if it happened to the Sens, I would think a little differently. But also, I mean, they made the right call. You clearly high sticked him in the face. Shut up.
Jack Lavoie saying Cat did good. What'd you think of DeBrincat's game tonight?
I would kind of disagree with that. He looked really good at certain points. Like he does great stuff out there, right? He gives other guys tons of chances. So maybe it's on them more than him. But like to me, I've said it before, and I think I was kind of almost in a way proven right in the game against Philly, where I said, they kind of, this team is going to go as he goes, and if he's scoring goals, then they're going to win games. And I'm not putting this solely on him. He did have his fair share of chances tonight as well. I thought, especially on that one on the short side where the puck kind of popped out to him on the goal line, and he came up quick and tried to go short side high. It was a really good attempt, but I'd love to see him bury that, obviously. But I shouldn't say I would disagree with him having a good game. I think he did have a good game. I just think he just didn't do the thing that we need him to do to win games. So it's as much on him as anyone, I guess. But I mean, we just need him to score goals, and we'll be happy. He can do all the fun stuff out there we want. If it's not going to result in a goal, then it's almost like it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, and Graham nailing this one too. I'll just quote him. It's time to move on from it. Well, at least he's getting good looks. Like, you're brought in to score goals. You did against Philly, and guess what? They win the only game they've won in the last 10. He scores, they win. Pretty coinciding facts right now. I'm going to go back. I don't have to go back too far because he's only scored in 3 games this season, and one was an empty netter. So I can tell you,
he scored in the game against Minnesota. They lost, and the empty netter one they won.
Yeah. I was finding out whether the correlation was he scores, they win. So I guess not. Minnesota proves me wrong there. But ironically, the game against Philly where he gets those 2 goals, that's his third lowest ice time all season. So
yeah, and his lowest shot on goals total as well, I believe, which is very funny.
Yeah, well, he actually outdid himself tonight. He had 2 shots on goal tonight, which is not great when you have 10 minutes on the power play and you're the trigger man on the power play.
Yeah, I would almost look at shooting attempts for him as the more telling stat than actual shots on goal, because he gets a lot of shots, but he's so good at picking corners, and he knows where to put it, that I think he misses the net the odd time because he's trying to pick a corner basically.
All right, hot lunch 40-11. Bath, first goal in 10 games. Maybe he heats up. I actually thought he looked good with the puck tonight quite a bit.
Yeah, he had a few nice little dipsy doodles right in the slot, and Drake looked good. Actually, at the beginning of the game, I was thinking like, maybe he doesn't look that good, and then he scored the goal. I'm like, this is classic me mushing the Sens, where I'm like, this guy's playing like shit, and then he scores a goal 2 seconds later. It used to happen to me and my dad all the time with Mike Fisher, so we kind of call it the Mike Fisher thing. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Drake is Drake, and he's going to be good all the time. He's going to get his looks and chances, but need him to keep that going for sure. Consistency is the key for him.
And Damien makes a good point too. Like, Giroux's point per game player. Brady's having a career year, and we're 5-9-1. It's wild, man. That's hockey. Are you
and the record without Zub too is hilarious.
Yeah. Are you going to slap the must-win label on this game against Buffalo, division rival? They're losing a bunch recently.
Well, yeah, every game now going until they're 500 is a must-win to me.
Okay.
They need to get to a respectable point. Right now, they're a joke.
Okay, so not do you hope, but do you think realistically that there's a chance DJ Smith is fired after the California trip?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, if it was up to me, it would be done right now. I think now's like, do it while you're at home still, and you can get a guy in and figure that out. I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance he's on the hot seat going forward here until they figure it out. If they figure it out, and if they don't, then they should have done it earlier, because it kind of like I said, it's not necessarily his fault. I just think that the team is not going under him right now. If they really liked him that much, they would get a win for him.
100%.
But here's the other thing, Ross.
Go ahead.
And this is why I'm wrong, because on 32 Thoughts I was just listening to today, they actually said that Dorion went to the dressing room and told the players DJ's not going anywhere either. So, and to me, that's a silly thing for him to do, because if he doesn't do it, Or if he says he's not going to do it and then he doesn't do it and they continue to lose, that's on him, right? And
Yeah.
then if he does say he's not going to do it and then he does it, now he's a bit of a liar.
Something
So
needs to change,
like,
man.
why would he even do that? Say it in the media, give him the vote of confidence, whatever. Do that like every other GM does for their coaches. But for him to actually go into the locker room and tell the players, like, don't worry, DJ's not going anywhere. You're going to continue to not be held accountable by your fun uncle coach here.
Yeah,
That's something else.
it is. If they do make a coaching change, I don't want another one of these rookie guys who
No, they got to bring in the biggest hard ass they can find.
Claude Julien is sitting in Orleans right now.
Yeah, he's at his cottage on the Big Rito Lake.
No doubt. Hey, is it a good idea to play a hockey game on the night that players are being inducted in the Hall of Fame?
Probably not.
Absolutely brutal decision by the league. And to like make it early and do all this weird hula hoops around it. Gymnastics.
This is a little strange.
I hated it. In this situation,
rest is a weapon.
Yeah, it is. So honestly, yeah, no, Joe, I swear to God, like at this point, Troy, man, I don't even want him here. Belleville's not even winning games. Like, no.
Yeah, that's not the right choice.
It has to be. People say, I know you tweeted out at Leames Martian, Jacques Martin.
Yeah. I mean, I know he's available. Is he assistant coaching somewhere?
Do you know that Jacques Martin is the last Senators head coach that got a head coaching job in the NHL after being fired by Ottawa?
That makes sense. Because we've
sad.
had a lot of crappy coaches.
Yeah, they all coach in the WHL. Craig Hartsburg, Corey Clouston, you name it.
And we got Dave in the O with the 67s.
Speaking of which, Jacques Martin is a senior advisor for the Kingston Frontenacs right now.
Seems like the kind of perfect jump that he'd be ready to make.
No,
I don't think he's exactly the guy you need, because I think you need someone who's a little bit more new school than him. But I think he's the style of coach that they need, or like you would draw a parallel to another guy in this generation who's very similar. Like, I don't even know. I mean, Claude Julien would be fine. It would be great.
Yeah, I'm up for it, because like the one thing with him is he doesn't like let prospects play a lot. Well, guess what? Like,
you got no choice.
That's our team.
Your team is made up of young guys. Yeah.
So, a correction there. Hot Lunch saying that he's VP of Hockey Ops in Kingston, but that's a job he could easily get out of. Come on.
Yeah.
Jack, and we'll leave it at this for tonight. We want to go see this, and we'll have more on tomorrow's Locked On Senators. But Jack saying would love to see Alfie be the coach. Coaches get fired. I don't want that situation to occur. I would prefer him to be president of Hockey Ops. Give him the Steve Yzerman title, and away he goes.
Yeah, that's the perfect spot for him. Put him in a nice, comfy spot in the front office where he can sit up there and have his nice Lay's chips, his salt and vinegars, and away he goes. And then he can be there, going forward and not have to worry about his job.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. So all in all, it's a 4-2 loss with an empty netter to the New York Islanders, but this one really feels like one that got away. You go 1 for 6 on the power play. You give up 2 out of 3 shorthanded. It's just the season is swirling down the tube right now. And
sure
if it change sooner rather than later, we're going to be looking at the 2023 NHL draft far before we're ready to do that. But we appreciate everyone for joining us, even Martians. That's not your guppy though. Who's that?
That's my cat. And if you noticed there, she's getting very comfortable, but we shaved her last week because she had a little bit of matting. She's a long-haired cat usually, but I got to say, I love this new look for her. It's actually rejuvenated my love for her, because she was getting a little stinky with the old long hair, and now she's great. She's like a kitten again.
Pilsy's not here, so you know what I'm doing right now, eh? Just once.
Meow.
What?
Oh no!
Just once.
No. Okay, we'll just do a quick one.
Just once. For the good people out there.
Bad.
All right.
This is bad for us. This is not good.
Look where they are right now. They have the 4th best odds. Like, if this was the last 4 years, we'd be like, oh, we're right in the mix. That's how friggin' pathetic this is right now.
Just spin it.
All right. I'm spinning it.
I couldn't have got any worse. They've gotten bumped down 2 slots.
Yeah, that's just saying we suck. Let's go. Hey, another day. There's another day. The good news, Claude Giroux is signed for 3 years, not just 1, 3 years. He's still got it. Timmy, another multi-point game. And the captain is a leader amongst men. So there's that going for them, but then there's a lot that...
If I may still say, this team is still very fun to watch. So it's not like you're not getting your entertainment value if you go to the games. I know the attendance was like 11,000 tonight, which is not great, although it's a Monday night at 5:30. So what do you really want? But again, like it's worth going to a game just to see this shit show.
You never know what's going to happen next, with the Ottawa Senators. It's absolutely insane. It really is.
Never a dull moment. There's always off-ice drama and on-ice drama, so it's fun.
We'll leave it there for now. This has been the Postcast After Dark. We appreciate you all for giving me shit for spinning that thing and dropping 2 spots. We thank you very much for always riding with us, win, lose, or draw. We'll try to bring the entertainment and make sure that we're interacting with you guys on social media as well. At Sen Central on Twitter and LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. We'll see you after the game on Wednesday in the Postcast, but we also have Locked On Senators dropping tomorrow. All right, have a good night, everyone, and guess what? I'll leave you in a positive. Daniel Alfredsson is a Hall of Famer.